Daniel and his friends had grown up in the Promised Land, in Judah. As young men, they found themselves being dragged into exile, far away from the society they had known, into a city that neither knew of, nor cared about, nor was impressed by their faith or their lives. Daniel would live in Babylon from his late teens or early 20s until he was in his 80s or 90s. Most likely, he died there. These exiles were understandably fearful of the power that held them in its grip, and were wondering what God was doing, and whether they could or should keep obeying him in such circumstances. And so the message of Daniel is incredibly relevant for us in our generation. Not because it maps out a strategy for how to deal with our new lack of status or to reverse it. Not because Daniel was a great man and we need to follow his example, buck up and be more like him. Yes, it's a good idea to seek to emulate the men and women of faith we find in the pages of the Bible. But no, this book will not tell you to be like Daniel. Instead, it will call you to believe in Daniel's God. We will be able to navigate our present moment to the extent that we realize that the God of the exiles in the 6th century BC has not changed in the intervening 2.5 millennia. As we walk through the twists and turns of the first 7 chapters of the book of Daniel, we will see some heroes and some anti-heroes. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and the kings Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, and Darius, and of course some lions. But these are not really the heroes of Daniel 1 through 7. Neither are you or I. We weren't even there. God is always the hero of the story. And that is why we need to discover the message of the book of Daniel, to rediscover our confidence in the God who reveals himself there. This book is therefore going to give you at least 6 parts God for every 1 part Daniel or anyone else. For the overarching message is simply this: God is powerful and God is sovereign. And even in the face of circumstances that appear to be prevailing against his people, we may trust him entirely. The battle may seem to be tilting against the church, but still God reigns supreme. I make no apology for the fact that each chapter's theme is a variation of this message. If the exiles needed a whole book to remind them of and steady them in this great truth, then so do we today. So how can we as Christians keep our courage and hope in this culture? Is it even worth continuing to live as a Christian? Look to the God whom Daniel knew, and we will find out why and how to live as his people. We'll see that there is a better way than growing angry, or keeping our heads down, or retreating, or giving up altogether. Here is how you stand firm and live bravely when the wind is blowing hard against you.